There's another bill at the desk. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate file number 4476, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to redistricting the unofficial engrossment.
I call upon the author of the bill, Representative Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, over the past 3 months, everyone has had the opportunity to analyze the new legislative and congressional maps released by the courts in February. While many of us had been considering the political implication of these new maps, our local governments have been reviewing them, and individuals across the state, in wherever they live, have been reviewing them for technical difficulties or problems that impede the ability to administer elections or protect voters' privacy. A couple of weeks ago, Senator Mark Johnson called and said, I'm going to have a redistricting committee meeting. And I thought, oh my gosh, why? What are you doing? Because we hadn't heard about this so much from anybody. I had a folder of people that were telling me, I think there's a mistake in my district, or I think that there's a part of my old district that really should be with my new district kind of stuff. And I said, put it in writing. Well, when they called the Secretary of State's office, they didn't say, just put it in writing and hand it back to me. I have a folder. The Secretary of State's office has a form. State redistricting plan correction request. And over the months, unbeknownst to the redistricting people from the House of Representatives, I don't know about on your side, but on our side, I didn't know there was such an accumulation of communications with the Secretary of State's office. But Senator Johnson said, we've had enough requests that I'm going to have a meeting. And so I wanted to tell you, because if he's having a meeting, we probably should have a meeting too. And so that put us on the alert. And I thank so much the people that have been doing redistricting right along. And I called Representative Torkelson, or maybe he called me first to say that Mark Johnson was going to call me. I can't remember that exactly, but Representative Torkelson and I have been working along pretty well all year long. And so we started to plan for having a meeting also, and that's when it was revealed to us the numbers of situations, or the numbers of papers that had been handed into the Secretary of State's office, because they became aware then, too, that they had to share the news or share the requests with the House and the Senate. And so we had a meeting, and then 17 members attended, and we went over some of the corrections, and that the Secretary of State felt that the House of Representatives and the Senate had to have a say in how they were, whether they were going to be changed or not, or acquired or not. And we narrowed it down Representative Torkelson, and I really appreciate your candidness, and down to we weren't taking suggestions about all the principles. We were only going to zero in on principles, on cases in a district where there's a recommendation and a solution for assuring that no one would be able to tell how a small group of people were voting. Their privacies must be protected. And that was the principle we were going to follow if we had a meeting and if we would decide to have a case. That week, Representative Cleavorn and I attended the meeting over in the Senate. We were the only one other outsider, one other non-senator was in the room, or non-Senate worker was in the room, and we listened to what they were accepting. And that is this bill that's before you today, Senate File 4476. And before all of us now, but we, in our committee meeting, agreed to one more change, I think, and that was at the recommendation of Matt Gehring, our nonpartisan staff, who said that we really should repeal, or the local districts, voting districts, really should have the opportunity to correct obsolete things in their ordinances or their law, our law, from previous that were still there from previous redistricting cycles. And we wanted to ensure that local governments have the authority to update their precinct lines in response to this bill. And so we are extending the date that to June 17th, 2022, that local voting district officials can change their boundary lines as a result of us changing this law, the laws that are before us. And available to every member of the House of Representatives is the maps. The first change that was in the Senate bill was the change in House District 15A and House District 16A to increase the number of households from Granite Falls Township that reside in District 15A. The second change modifies the boundary between the House Districts 58A and 58B to move a single isolated household in Northfield Township from 58A to 58B, preventing the need for a one-home district. Thank you, Representative Lippert. The final adjustment makes a minuscule change to the boundary between the 7th and 8th Congressional District between Ackley and Shingobee Townships. There's no one living there. But if that land was sold, then there would be just the one voter, or the number of voters that resided in and they built a house and resided in that home. And then they would not have their privacy protected. And so we made that change. And those maps are available to you. And the redistricting committee would welcome your green vote today so that we are passing a law that protects the privacy of the individual voter in every precinct across the state.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 4476.
Third reading. Discussion. I recognize the member from Brown, Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks to Chair Murphy for accurately describing the activity within this bill. I just want to assure members that none of these changes benefit any incumbent legislator. They only benefit the privacy of voters, and I recommend a green vote. Thank you.
Further discussion. Representative Murphy, final thoughts? No? Okay. Okay. There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, it's time to vote. Will the clerk please call the names of the members who have not voted yet?
Agbaje.
Agbaje votes aye.
Agbaje, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Frederick.
Frederick, aye.
Frederick, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson, J.
Hanson J. aye.
Hanson, J. aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Hollins.
Collins, aye.
Hollins, aye. Keeler.
Keeler, aye.
Keeler, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Richardson. Richardson. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Thompson. Thompson. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Speaker Hortman.
Speaker Hortman, aye.
Speaker Hortman, aye. Richardson. Richardson. Thompson. Thompson.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 126 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed in its title agreed to.